And welcome to the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. your retro activist, a.k.a. your sushi guy. I had sushi before, recording this episode. Went to Sapporo's, not the beer. There's a restaurant by that name too. And, I am a big of a sushi fan. I don't try to eat it too much because I always have this fear of there is such thing as too much sushi, in my opinion. And I got now this one here, I didn't like this one, but I got the eel and avocado sushi, which I like that sushi. I just don't like the way they did it there. Masa Ramen did a better job to me in that. And the funny part about sushi too is it is one of those things you get what you pay for. So if you pay $3 for sushi, you're gonna get $3 sushi. And if it tastes like crap, well, you pay $3 for it. I'm not saying for this place. I'm just saying in general. And so you know what you get when you get paid for it. Now, I had this shrimp tempura sushi that was really good. And when I do, when it comes to doing wasabi, I like to do just a dab and then pour in soy sauce, and I just let it do. I don't like my stuff strong. I don't like it strong where it clears my sinuses. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that. I think people do that for the thrill. For me, it's I want to enjoy it. I don't want the challenge of it. That's the same thing with spicy food. People like they're freaking hot. I don't like the challenge. I like to enjoy it. I just enjoy it. So, you can have your habaneros and all that crap, but I'm an enjoyable thing, But what do you think, Jaron, my second chair?
One, that was the longest AKA ever.
I know, right?
That was a paragraph. It was AKA paragraph title.
Right? Right?
So, AKA Evil Baku, Grumpy Bear. I'm AKA I probably will find something to eat after this. I have not eaten in about 8 hours. That's
weird because real talk, he normally eats before or at the beginning of our episodes.
Yeah, I haven't eaten in about 8 hours. I might just go rogue and just make myself a quick thing of bow tie pasta and just be defiant.
I've been eating a lot of pasta lately too.
Yeah, I don't really feel like going out and picking something up. I got stuff here. I'm just gonna make something. Bow tie Alfredo or something.
I've been trying to push myself, and I gotta do it tonight too. Trying to eat a salad at least one of my meals a day. It could be one for lunch or one for dinner. Not every meal, just at least one of those choices in the day. So, or that can be replaced with some kind of vegetable like green beans or broccoli or mixed vegetables like California blend and whatnot. Yeah.
I found a fun fact. Brandy fucking hates broccoli.
That's a sin.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
It's only recently she's realized she doesn't like it. She got sense of smell and taste back, and so that changes when you get your sense of smell back.
I didn't know she lost her sense.
Oh yeah, it's long story, but when you lose your sense of smell, things taste different. So
right.
When you get it back, you actually truly taste it. And she realized fuck broccoli. I'm done with broccoli.
Out of curiosity for her, how did she get it prepared? Was it steamed or
any which way? She just doesn't like the taste.
No, I mean at the time that she didn't try it, how was it? Do you remember?
When she discovered she didn't like it, or how she ate it before?
Yeah, the way when she discovered that she realized that she doesn't like it. How was it?
I think this was steamed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because most people like to put cheese over it. I
mean, I think it's the. I'm trying to remember how she described it.
Is it texture? Most times, texture.
Be the texture.
A lot of people
might be the texture.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's fine. She likes Brussels sprouts. I like broccoli.
That's weird. She likes Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts is weirder taste to me than broccoli.
She likes asparagus. I will tolerate asparagus if it's cooked properly.
No.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Asparagus is tricky to cook properly. If you don't cook it properly, it tastes stringy and blech.
Mm-hmm. But check out our monthly new episode of Let Us Eat and Cook in January. No, just kidding. This is a gaming podcast show. We are here not to only challenge you, but only challenge us in the world of gaming. And we had an idea last week of what we want to record, and then all this mystery and crazy stuff has happened. So we'll be definitely talking about that. I'm going to be talking about a game that I've been playing lately, followed by some news, followed by the celebration of two consoles that I can't remember the last time two consoles came out the same year as the Xbox and the Gamecube. I can't think of another year. I was thinking about that. I was like, when's the last time two consoles came out like in the same year? You know, in the same month, actually. In the same month.
Significant consoles.
Same month.
Last year.
In the same month.
Yes. PlayStation 5 and the Series X.
I swear there were like a couple of weeks off, but like, you know, one was a month ahead. No? Okay.
Yeah, I'll verify, but I'm pretty sure because I remember Xbox saw how PlayStation did their launch. It was like, ooh, no, we're going to do this differently. And it, you know, still got bought up by the bots, but, you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Double check that for me, what the dates on those are. But while I was doing that, I do want to talk about Metro, the Metroid series. Metro meaning like, you know, Metro, Metroid Last Light, and Metro Exodus. A trilogy. Now, Metro Exodus came out for the last gen consoles. I think about like a couple of years ago. I think it was like the swan song for their games and whatnot. And then, of course, if you haven't had a chance to play it, there's a better edition for it. You know, the Redux edition, where you get both games in one.
Came out within 2 days of each other. They were launched.
In November?
November 10th and November 12th.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So,
but go on.
So ever since then, this is this one. So, okay. Anyways, so I like that series. I like the idea of it, of this post-apocalypse kind of fallout that is located in Russia, and everybody's living underground due to the radiation and the creatures that have been mutated and all this stuff. And I was playing Exodus, and the Exodus is a little bit different because for the first time, you are not worried about living in tunnels. You are now taking the game on the road, or a train more like it, where you and a team are trying to find a new place when you found out that you thought you were basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, like the last people left in the world kind of thing, until you found out that there was something else due to your main person, Artyom, found a radio signal, and he wanted to figure out where it's from. He finds out that there's more people out there because he was trying to be the hope of we can get the civilization outside of this and find a better place for them and whatnot. And of course, you know, it didn't work out and all that. So, you know, the funny thing about Artyom, he is the only one that is an interesting character where we talked about what kind of protagonist we want, because he's a silent protagonist in the main gameplay, but he has a voice when he talks about, when he goes into his monologue of what's going on in the story. That's interesting. So every time you load up a chapter, he always goes in a voice acting, just talking about what's going on in the story, what he's doing, how he feels about things. And then when the gameplay starts, he is the most silent person ever. And so I thought that was interesting. Exodus is really interesting because it definitely gives you that Fallout feel, the Bethesda game, really well. As you're going to different regions, you're going from, you know, the snowy place to out in the hot desert that feels like a Mad Max kind of feel, to where I'm not there yet, but you will be hitting more of a pleasant, like, kind of forest, kind of like, and I'm sorry I'm comparing this again, but like Fallout 76, where it's more of the kind of, you know, the fall kind of feel, very nature-wise and everything. And
really?
Yeah, so you're going, it's like almost 3 chapters, but just in 3 different areas. So it's almost 3 little sandbox. So each section, you're trying to figure out how to get the train moving again, but there's also small little side missions, so you're learning about different people. So you're learning, you get stories about cults, you get stories about, in the desert, you're getting people that are like, you know, your warlords, kind of like if you've seen Mad Max, you know, you have this overlord boss that we're trying to own all the water and all the sources. Yeah, you know, all that stuff. And now I can't tell you what happens in the next part. I'm not there yet. The Exodus does a good job of development. Actually, it's funny because the first 2 Metro games are very interesting because they always feel like it's a journey regardless, just like Exodus. Except here, it feels more like chapters you're with a guide that helps you through all of this. So, for example, like in Last Light, you know, you'll meet a kid that needs to be rescued, and this kid joins you on your journey until you get him back home. That is where you're heading. by coincidence, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And it's just different little journeys. And each journey, you're learning something new about that world. For instance, like you'll meet a guy that's kind of like a shaman kind of person, or more of he knows the knowledge about like spirits and stuff. And you'll see these electro, will o' the wisp kind of creatures that are like they're not really wisps, but they're just little creatures that go around and they can shut down, short circuit everything that comes in his path. It's almost like a poltergeist.
Okay, like living ESP.
Sure. Or EMP.
EMP.
Yeah, per se.
EMPs.
Yeah. So you're just kind of getting this journey on. With Exodus, though, it's more of you and your group of friends on this path to find a new place. So, and what I like about the Exodus one, they really do a good job with the bonding. There's a lot of dialogue that you're learning about everybody. Everybody's very social to you. Of course, our team is not going to be talking whatsoever, but they really do a good job of picking up the slack of your protagonist not talking. So they do a really good job of that. And if you take the time to really absorb this game, there's a lot of great character development if you have the time. I mean, they give you time to they'll let you even sit down and just listen to their conversation and talk about you in the conversation. You could play a guitar and you could be playing and they're having a conversation while you're playing the guitar. Even with you and your wife that you meet in the second one that joins you, named Anna. And I'm a sucker for wives in these kind of games where they're there for you really hardcore and they just say these sweet things to you in a weird way. And I'm not talking about like you meet a girl in the game and you choose like, I want you to be my girlfriend and all that. I'm talking about like it's really implemented in the story. Like, this is your wife. This is all you got. She cares for you. And I think it's because the fact it is a kind of a post-apocalypse, like, friends are very important. People are very more important now than ever because you need somebody to react with you. Kind of like if a post-apocalypse for you, I mean, Brandy would be probably your number one source. Sure, you got family and stuff, but Brandy is your source because she's with you all the time. So she's probably your number one person above anybody else in that kind of idea, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless I had to eat her.
True, but you care enough to eat her, so no one else can eat her, right? Got it. I see what you did there. Anyways, so with Anna, I really cared about her, and when you care about a character so much is that like you do death threats to people that come along that put harm on her. Like, because, when it comes to post-apocalypse games and stuff like that, is women are very precious to civilization. They're a source. They're a source of breeding. They're a source of sex. Sounds like I'm doing like a documentary right now of like how the post-apocalypse works. But no,
you're trying to pitch it to the society.
Yeah, no, but I fall for that because it's more of like I'm so into her in this game. Is this more like it's like if anybody fucking hurts her, I will destroy everything in this game. Like is that great? I don't think I have passionate that much since Outer World. With the one girl that I mentioned before, I forgot her name. That's how much I care, right? It was the same thing. She was so sweet. It's like if anybody hurts her, I will destroy everybody. And I think every gamer has that one game that you have that character that you really care about so much.
Pan Am or Judy from Cyberpunk.
Oh, for you?
Well, two examples that I could think of from a game. Cyberpunk. Judy Alvarez or Pan Am Palmer. It's like, okay, all right, those are my homies. Mm-hmm. If anybody messes with them, I will beat them with my bare hands, my bare modified cybernetic hands that can set you on fire. Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that the interaction between you and Anna is really cool in this way because like she really opens up to you very well. Like one of the parts where like this is what I'm talking about, like if you care to invest into the characters. One example was we were stopped at this location and she just came in the room and she just laid her head on my lap and she just wanted to talk. Now you're welcome to just get up and leave. No one's forcing you for this cutscene.
It's like, get off me! I got some kids.
Yeah, no, because she'll say it's like, hey, my father needs to talk to you, and you can choose to walk away. But if you stand still for a minute, she'll start talking to you, and she'll say, hey, come sit by me and let's talk, and you can sit down and talk, and she'll do that. And and they even go as far, there's a button for the kind of consult her. So she's talking to you, you're just kind of, the whole rubbing the shoulder, everything is okay kind of thing. And she'll just
have to pay respects.
Yeah, and she'll go and she'll basically kind of talk about what has happened during the game. She's basically your catch up to the game, kind of in case you forgot some things, And she'll just sit there and talk, and at the end, she'll stop and say, "Hey, thanks for talking to me, but you need to go talk to my dad." And and you move on, and it's nice. I like that. I like that, and especially the little things in the game where you'll right before you leave a mission, she'll come to you and she'll say, and I'm not talking about a cutscene. While you're walking away, she'll yell something back at you, say, "Hey, don't be a hero. All right, I want a live husband, not a dead hero." And it's aw. And I was that's really caring. I was
don't tell me what to do.
But I like stuff like that. I like when they do that kind of stuff. Just call out on stuff like that. I say, hey, be careful out there. Don't do anything stupid. All right, I love you. And then you are. I'm oh, okay, shit. All right. I was I got you. It's that's not because most AI when it comes to relationship in games, they don't really do that. They're more all right, I'll be here, kind of thing.
Good luck.
Yeah. I like that kind of stuff. But all that being said, with the better guns, better way to do guns, better way to loot stuff, because in the old ones, you bought a lot of weapons in actually, to tell you the truth, buying weapons in Metro is kind of useless because every time you kill an enemy, you could always pick up a gun that probably has a better attachment than that, right? For at least for Metro. And it's one of those things, too, that don't carry over either unless you go to the shop and you upgrade on here. What I like about this game, though, is you could break apart all the weapons and you can break those down for crafts and stuff to make ammo and everything like that when you find a gun on the ground. And when you find attachments, you get to keep those attachments because you have a backpack that you can open at any time and you can just switch them up anytime. I was maybe I don't need a scope for this one. I need just a nice sight. You can change it on the fly. That's it. But you have to find the parts first, and then you can do that. And I like that. It's the whole scavenging, but once you have it forever kind of thing. And you have to clean your gun. You have to rub your gun. You have to rub the dirt off, or it just won't. It's not so much. It's not going to work. It's just the accuracy might be a little loppy, or the gun might reload slowly because it's just dirty as hell. It doesn't get too dirty. Unless, you're crawling on the ground or something like that. Or if you're, either, getting attacked by, creatures that are, filthy or something like that. That's how weird it is. But
that's a clever way to add a little change into the gameplay loop, right?
there's a lot of quality of life they did on here. The one thing I would say, though, with that being said, I would not play this game on the standard PS4. The reason why is because the loadings is one of those things that it loads everything and you don't have to worry about loading again, but it takes a while for it to go. And what I mean for a while to go is your loading for that game can take a minute to a minute and a half. So you can literally sit there for a very, very long time. But once it's all loaded, you're good to go. And the only reason I say that is because if you have a PS5 or Pro, I think it will run 10 times better, especially the PS5 edition. Metro did an update on that. So it runs smoothly on there, a lot better, loads quicker and everything. But on a standard PS4, I honestly don't recommend it.
You're better off playing on the PC.
Yeah, now if you're fine with the loading times, not going to bother you, the game runs well. It does. It does run well. There is a couple of hiccups here and there, but, I mean, it's nothing to be a deal breaker. Would say. Okay. For instance, if you're in a car, which you get a vehicle and you don't have to worry about gas. But if you decide to look at your map and then you exit out your map, where you're sitting in the car, you elevate upwards. So now you're too high up to see the road. So sometimes I have to get out of the car and get back in and do it. So I have to kind of plan my route because there's no mini map to tell you where you need to go. You have to open your map all the time. All that stuff.
That's interesting.
I don't like that. I don't like that, but it's not a deal breaker. Neither is I wish you could mark stuff on the map, just so your compass can see that, but you can't. I hate that, but it is what it is. Now, I hate games that don't do fast travel, but luckily this game's world, each section is so small that is forgivable in that aspect. Okay? It's not taking me forever to get to one place to another, so that's cool. You're really, each area you're going, there's about maybe 4 or 5 missions in each one, just story-wise, and then you have your main mission story, and then you move on.
Yeah,
but
I was about to say, the price of total immersion, I kind of don't like some of those choices. I don't think I dig it personally.
I think you would probably deal with it, Jaron, but I think you would complain about it at the same time because it'll be parts where they're telling you to go somewhere and you're like, this would be easier if you just popped up this little thing. You're going to keep saying that to yourself. I keep saying to myself all the time, like this would be so much easier if you just give me something a little small instead of telling me, hey, head west. Well, I'm looking out here. I can't just see what I can't think what west is just straight off the bat. I need something. Now you get a little compass. You can get an upgrade on your arm that will give you a upgrade where you can compass. It'll tell you where you need to go. But I don't want that. I want it to say north, west, east, south, so you can tell me to go west, so I can turn my body and head that direction. But they don't do that. So I will say Metro Exodus is the best one in the series for me. But it does take a lot of seats back that kind of annoy me. One of the things definitely annoyed me is in the old ones, you can pick up stuff easily. But in this one, everything has to be a hold. Hold square to pick up this. Hold square to pick up that. And it's annoying when you have a lot of things to pick up. So I'd rather just be click, 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 or do the Borderlands way. I hold square and then everything gets picked up. Like,
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of strange quality of life adjustments that they and this is the second game you said?
No, this is the third one. Exodus is the third one. Yeah, Last Light is the second one.
Yeah, Metro Last Light, Metro Exodus.
Yeah,
okay.
And for people, so just so people don't hit me up like you didn't say it right. It's Metro 2033. It's Metro 2034 Last Light. And then this one is Metro Exodus, but it doesn't tell you. But I think it's Metro 2035. So that's what I believe. That's the order it is. But either way, yeah. I do recommend this game. I think that this game really gives you a good Fallout feel. Like these guys really did a good job making it feel like a Fallout like style kind of game. I really liked how well they did that.
I actually have Metro 2033 and Last Light.
The Redux.
Last Light Redux, and I think just regular Metro 2033.
Okay, that one might be tough. If you get the Redux, then you get the gameplay from the Last Light to the original one. That one might be a little easier for you. But either way, I'm surprised they didn't give you a free upgrade for it. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, especially since it's just like. Yeah, it's just Metro. It's like Metro 2033. I was like, oh yeah, I remember trying to give you a try. You were kind of pissed me off.
Yeah. So, because I played those two on PC, but then when I replayed them, I did it all on the PS4. So, I do recommend this game. If you're a Metroid fan, you haven't got a chance to play Exodus, I think it's still worth your time. I think it's a great game. I just honestly, if you don't want to deal with the minute and minute and a half for each time you load up this game, maybe not play it on the regular one. Maybe play it on a Pro or a PS5. But the graphics are beautiful in this game, and I really like it. I hate the sun, though. The sun is too bright, and I shouldn't have to say that for a game, because when I'm driving, the sun is so bright I can't see the road in front of me. That's a little annoying. And I think anybody who plays this game will understand that. And no, turn down the gamma will not help the situation to me. At this thing, it's as bright as hell.
They just try and blind you. They just straight up blind you.
That's why, like, in the desert place, I kind of like to do it at night. Oh, that's another thing, too, before we wrap up this. The sleeping system is awesome. I like the sleeping system. And I shouldn't have to say that, but that's awesome. What it does is when you sleep, they literally pin the camera outside, and they literally let you sit there and see everything that goes on through that whole day. It's not one of those quick, like, sundown, moon up, or moon up, sundown. No, they're like, It cycles. Like, someone literally went out there to record, and then they fast forward it. Like, one time I was sleeping, and they panned out, and I was in the first area, and there's lake, and there's like weird lobsters, monsters, and like sea creatures, and you literally sit there and see these lobsters get up, walk around, fight other people, go back in the water. You see this giant sea monster go up and down. Like, you're seeing these. It's really, really cool. I really appreciate that they did that. That was really cool.
It's interesting. I mean, you can skip some of it though, right?
What do you mean? Like
when you sleep, the sleep cycle? You don't have to watch all of that.
It's not that long.
Okay.
The day and night is not that long at all. No.
Okay.
Like, if you want to go to sleep, it literally only takes like 30 seconds.
Okay, well, as long as it, because the last thing we want is to feel like, it's like, oh my God, every time I sleep, screw this, I just won't sleep.
Yep. But it's funny because, like, the days are long, like, if you don't sleep, right? So, but there's nothing in the game that forces you to do it in a certain way. There's recommendations. They're like, we prefer you to attack this group at night because they're all asleep, kind of thing. But you don't have to. But you don't have to. So, so
if you got the right guns, screw it. I'm just YOLOing it and going into the day.
Yeah. If you have a PC too, I bet it'd be better on the PC also, of course. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see how maybe not so much the first Metro because it's not going to be that challenging, but maybe Last Light Redux, see how that is turned up.
I honestly would tell you, and I know people probably disagree. I think you can go Last Light and move on. I don't even think you have to play the original one. I honestly.
Good, because I would rather. I played a little bit of the first one, and I was like, oh my God, screw this. So if Last Light kind of picks it up a little bit.
Yeah. And I appreciate Metro because they kind of went old school with it, where like it's all about just finding stuff and upgrading from there. There's no giant chart of like a skill tree or anything. It's just plain and simple, like get in and get out. And I appreciate that. I miss games where it's just kind of like just let me enjoy the journey. Like, I don't want to do these upgrades or what I need to feel like this. Like, give me good guns and good enemies and good story. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get on some news. This is some news time before we get to the big 20th bangers. What news you got over there?
Well, no, I'll have to reserve this for the 20th year. But it's Xbox related news regarding the Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll save that. Let's see, because talking about some of that got me searching through my game collection. See, do I have Metro? I remember having Metro.
Well, if you have a Steam account, you probably have games that you forgot you bought because you were just excited on those sales.
Yeah, when I could get those games for like $5 a piece, sure.
Yeah, I was like, one day I'll come to it. One day I'll get to it.
Yeah, I have a GOG account, and I can link my other accounts into it, so it just tabulates it all. Here are all your owned games. And it includes the Xbox Game Pass, so it's like you have 300 and some blah 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 games. So I was like, oh, Jesus. As far as news, let's see. Well, there's all the BS with Activision Blizzard, but that's still developing. So
we want to wait on that till we get the full story, and then we can talk about it.
Let's see. Pragmata, the game that everybody forgot, got delayed.
Okay, so when they first announced this, I believe it was on the State of Play when they first announced it.
Yeah, State of Play last year.
Yeah, this is basically becoming the Deep Down of Capcom games. If you remember Deep Down, that was a game that was announced way a long time ago, I think on the PS3 and PS4, that not necessarily still haven't announced they got canceled, but we know it got canceled, but they never came out to say it's canceled. And it was supposed to be kind of like a dungeon crawler, Dark Soulish kind of style kind of game, but it just never came to fruition and whatnot. So Pragmata is a game that got announced that was supposed to come out in 22, but now they posted in 23. And if people don't remember it, all you need to know is it's set in the future. You're in this spacesuit that looks like, it's a reject of like, the mascot symbol of Kojima's new studio game production. A little girl and a bunch of cats. Oh, and a moon. Yep. So
apparently it's supposed to take place on the moon. So, ooh.
Yeah, but I said in there, it's like this game was announced way too early. No and we don't know anything about it. And since then, we had Monster Hunter games that has kind of took over the thought of this game. So, but I think they did it so people don't have that question of like, oh yeah, they can get canceled. They just want to say it's 23. I think that, in my opinion, and once again, I like to be proven wrong about these kind of things. I don't think this game is going to succeed very well in my head when it comes out. I don't, based on what we have seen so far, I don't think it's going to move. It's going to shift anything. I think it's going to be, oh, that's interesting. That's one of those things.
So okay, so you think it's going to be like a Death Stranding, or?
Well, Death Stranding was successful.
Eventually, yes.
Yes. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a Death Stranding to me. I think it's going to be one of those games kind of like a Lost Planet.
Okay. So
or maybe a Sora's Wrath.
It could be a good game, but it will be underappreciated.
Yeah, and only because Capcom is still hitting up these Renaissance and still pushing out the other games that's still going. I mean, I'm pretty sure a Resident Evil game Resident Evil 4 will be announced somewhere before Pragmata comes out, I bet. I bet you in some shape or form will be announced, and that will take the headline more than that game. A new Street Fighter will take the headline before this game. You know?
A new Mega Man, who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean,
another anniversary collection probably, but yeah.
Another anniversary. They have nothing left.
But it'll add 11 this time. So.
Oh goodness. Which is sad because 11, 11's not even getting that much love. It's not a bad game. It's just not getting that love.
But I think I tweeted to you on there. It's like, great. Who cares right now? It's like, no one really cares about it. I mean, do you care about it right now? Does that interest you at all?
I have no feelings towards it either way.
Okay.
Because it was essentially TCs. I will say, as far as in general gaming news, Halo Infinite got shadow dropped Monday. Well, as of the viewing of this podcast, last Monday, and it is poised to just completely smack down Battlefield and Call of Duty. It's free to play multiplayer, like free. So that's actually pretty damn impressive, considering how everybody was just expecting it to fail.
Due to the first delay, and it didn't.
Well, the first delay and some of the screens that were released, everybody's like, "Oh, that looks like crap." Blah blah blah. Xbox is dead. The general moron, the moron patrol.
I love when a game doesn't look good. It's the death of the console automatically.
Yeah,
and it's that's how it works.
Imagine how many people said Nintendo doomed before the Switch, or when the Switch was on its way coming in, and now, oh my God, everybody's like, the Switch is the second coming of the gaming renaissance.
Shout out to Stadia.
Okay. Yeah. Rockstar is apologizing for the travesty that's the GTA Definitive Edition.
So, hang on. Can we go back to Halo for a second? I want to say about Halo is I'm glad it's getting good feedback, because due to that delay and then the last bad taste in their mouth, that was 5. I'm glad that this game is kind of getting its hype back. And due to the collection, too, that has been getting a lot of love, that is now becoming amazing to a lot of people. It's like it's a damn good collection. It's probably one of the best collections out there.
You can play it on the Xbox One. You can play it on the PC. You can play it on the Xbox Series.
But just the collection itself, dude, that collection itself is over like $100 worth it, maybe over $200 value to me. Like, these are not small games.
No, Halo 1 through 5, Halo Reach, Halo ODST.
Yeah, so like, this is a damn good collection, regardless. But still, though, I hope that the campaign does very well. I heard it's pretty good so far. I hope that it's meaty.
I mean, that's the thing. Halo campaigns have, I can't say always always meaty because I haven't played Halo 4 or Halo 5 yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's anything like at least Halo 1 through 3, and the fact that they'll eventually get a co-op version of the campaign, not immediately, but eventually, then yeah, Battlefield and Call of Duty are in trouble.
Yeah. Especially that one, especially the Grand Theft Auto and the Battlefield, which we go into our special segment, failure at launch. So, games that just didn't do very well at launch. Now, they're not the only ones. I mean, last year went to the honor of Cyberpunk, a failure at launch.
Yeah,
But this year we have two contenders so far at failure at launch, and that will be the Grand Theft Auto and Battlefield. So with that, GTA Trilogy, a game that people said that people were hyped when they saw the trailer, the overall, look of the game and everything like that. And then, when it came out, it did not go as well as people thought it would, because people said that this should have been an easy win. It should be an easy banker. I mean, we're talking about 3 games. One, they got better as they went trilogy, and they did some quality of life on here. But at the same time, there was a lot. It looks like it was rushed. A lot of stuff just got upscaled by an algorithm or whatever they called it up there. I think they said they were just kind of like a mod or something that just upgraded everything. It wasn't in-house. It was a third party. It was another party that did it. And just right out the gate, just a lot of things were just messing up, especially like the rain, the sound, the loading. And the bad part is, people. And I was talking to Jerome about this because he was talking about. I was telling him the Switch one is terrible, and I would let that slide if the Switch one. I understand because Switch 1 doesn't get a lot of good love. It looks like crap. But when it's all across the board, it's that's not good at all, right? because Jaron was talking about, I was like, well, the Switch can't handle it. I say, okay, so here's my thing. And we're going to do an episode of this soon because I want to talk about this debate. Where's the thin line where it is the console's fault to the developer's fault? And this game is the developer's fault. The Switch edition could look 10 times better. Hell, it can probably run more than 30 frames per second, in my opinion. And this game could look damn good. It's a PS2 game. There's no excuse.
No, there's no excuse. Witcher 3 runs on the Switch.
Yeah,
decent.
And they had to bring that down.
That's not the hardware.
And they had to bring that down, meaning that Grand Theft Auto could have looked beautiful on that Switch. It could look beautiful on that thing. So I blame developers on this one. Definitely. And especially...
it's definitely developers. There's no argument. Argument. It is the developers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Grove Street Games, the farm who they farm the workout, who Rockstar farmed the workout to. Grove Street Games. I don't know how much Twitter you trolled when the game came out, but so many people had comparison pictures between the original and the definitive edition, and it looked tragic.
Yeah, I was just looking at the highlight issues that were going on with this game, from stuff just loading in too late. The rain was terrible. The whole back view, they wouldn't move his face. The upgrade of certain characters look worse than what they did. Like the gangster girl with the bandana on her head is now this girl with this black chili bowl haircut kind of thing. To the point where restaurants and businesses signs are bad. Yeah, misspelled, so the jokes are not funny. They just don't make sense anymore in that aspect.
The rain looks like trash.
Yeah.
The audio, I was watching a playthrough. The audio in Grand Theft Auto 3, at the very least, sounds like everything's just going through a...
Yeah.
Or like one of Charlie Brown's teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even to the point with Vice City, it looks too cartoony to people. Looks like a Saturday Night Live cartoon, which, hey, you got what you want from the beginning of this year. A Grand Theft Auto Saturday Night Live cartoon. Vice City now has that look. Yeah.
It's all it needs is a cartoon voices.
Yeah. I'm walking here, Oh, Tony, get out of here. But, no, I want to believe that patches will be coming and it will help fix the problems. How long will it be? I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm glad, but once again, it is proven to the point of, I understand this. It sucks. It's a double-edged sword, right? It's the point where people have to buy this game so developers can figure out what the problem is to fix it. While we, the people that waited, want to wait longer to wait for it to be fixed. It's a no win-win situation. Someone has to take one for the team. So I like to thank everybody that just went in and didn't care about the thoughts and reviews or anything. You guys are the real champs there to spend $60 to do that because you're saving me time. So I thank you personally. So,
oh boy. Yeah, it's I honestly I have friends and acquaintances who went ahead and bought it because it was like, hey, nostalgia. I remember playing this when I was, the games came out in 2001, 2002, 2003, et cetera, et cetera. In the early 2000s. So that's when, for me, I was 17, 18, et cetera. So I was a young adult. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. But my associates and friends who bought these games, I warned them. I was like, it's not going to look how you remember. And they're like, this is whatever. I was like, okay. So, yes, thanks to those people who don't know any better or don't care and bought it and are raising their voices. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, definitely. But could we say that this is going worse than Battlefield 2042? Well, as a Battlefield fan, it's disappointing to hear what's going on because, as you know, the game came out. I think it's November 20th. I think it's supposed to come out. So by the time this airs, it's already out. People,
I was about to say actually, Battlefield 2042. My peeps are already playing it right now.
Well, I was going to get to the point where if you pre-order early, you get early access, so you can get the game like a couple days before release. So
yes.
So most of the reviews are people that got early gameplay of this. But I was saying that because this game was originally supposed to come out in October, right? Then it got delayed with the beta, right? And then, the people that drop 60 to over 100 for these special editions and whatnot get, early day access to the game and play it. And the headlines so far are not doing good. Now, I'm not going to shame DICE in the way that, multiplayer games launch are not always going to be perfect. Unless you're Halo right now. But most games on the multiplayer, they have a couple of bumpy roads. I get that completely. But 42 really, really hit that edge really hard of a lot of weird things in this game that it should not do. Bugs, I get. But when you lose control of the rules of the game to the players, it's bad. To the fact that you can summon vehicles at any point to this game. But the complaint is now we have too many vehicles on the map. So bad that Humvees, I think it's Humvees. Is that what they're called? Like with the hovercrafts. Sorry, hovercrafts. That's what it is. Are hard to destroy, let alone can go up the odds of going up buildings. So they show, to the point where like you can drop vehicles on a top of a high building. You know what I mean? Like it's just too much.
It's ridiculous
of that, right? There's no limitation of that. It's almost like it sounds cool on paper because that's the future, but it's like they didn't think of we didn't think about like 128 people doing this. And so.
Oh boy.
But that's the least of their worries. The fact that there's not a lot of weapons loadouts. There's like 2 for each category from like 2. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's not a lot. Like 2 shotguns, 2 assaults, 2 submachine guns,
that's
2 snipers. Not a lot. And they say that half of them work. You probably saw videos of people putting bullets in a bunch of people and are not hitting them, or they're just missing them. You know.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's enough to make. I almost want to load up Battlefield Bad Company 2 just to play a game that was fully thought out, fleshed out, and actually fun, and had full destruction.
Yeah.
Like,
so
the fact you could bring a building down on someone.
Yep. That's their signature, right? Battlefield's always been the ones that were signature of the destruction system. That's the thing that made them stand out from Call of Duty, even to this day.
Yeah, Call of Duty was way more arcadey.
Mm-hmm.
Live, die, repeat.
Yeah.
Battlefield was, you kind of move from cover to cover. You try and move strategically if you had a decent squad.
Yeah, and in this game, the destruction is rarely making a dent. Like, you saw people shooting tanks at buildings, and it's just a black spot. Like, you play 007, like GoldenEye, and you just shoot so many bullets to the wall, it's just blackens.
Black smear.
Yeah. That's what it looked like. Two planes crashing, and it's like a little dent on a building and stuff. It's terrible to see Battlefield 4 where you see a giant building just start collapsing on its own. But you don't really quite see this in this game. And
you don't.
And the problem is, I think that 42, the people that did it, were doing too much they were basically doing too much for this game, period. Like, look, I get it. 128 people sound appetizing, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that 64 was enough. Because to me, it's not so much about how many people are on the map, it's so much how many people can cause chaos on the map.
You're giving them way too much credit. You're giving them way too much of an out. 128 people is natural because the last Battlefield was Battlefield 5, which came out 3 plus years ago. The technology is there. The hardware, the support, everything is there to make a 64 versus 64 huge Battlefield on PC and PS5 and Xbox Series X. Huge Battlefield, and have destruction, and have actual particle effects. All that is there. It's possible to do it. It's just they either got rushed to push that out too soon.
3 years that's hard to swallow as a rush. But go on.
Yeah, true. I mean, but it depends on what else DICE was working on. But regardless, they could have done it. It is possible. Maybe not with the destruction part, but the example that I would use would be PlanetSide. PlanetSide had huge 64 v 64.
Yeah, but they didn't have that big of a destruction. And to go back to your Battlefield 5, that could also be created, that could be related to Battlefield 1. There wasn't too many monumental things for them to destroy, right? Because
no, there weren't.
That's the difference. So I have to kind of argue that point, because now I could be wrong. If Battlefield 4 had 128 people too, then this discussion is over. I was wrong, but I can't think of it right now. Leave a comment down below.
Battlefield 4 had 32 versus 32, so it's 64.
So, and that's more of like skyscrapers and stuff. Now, if Battlefield 5 had those kind of tall buildings, which I'm not saying they don't, but they didn't have skyscrapers. Okay,
no, it was World War II planes and things like that.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, I mean, the 128. I'm not saying that might be the main source of it, but at the same time, I honestly, in my opinion, I don't think you have to have 64 on 64. I think 32 was fine the way it was on a not such a huge map. Like, to me, I think back in the day, Conquest was from A to D. But when you're getting A to H, it's like, this is too big. Like if I'm running for 5 minutes and I'm not seeing anybody, your map is too big.
Especially if you and your squad can do everything right and you still lose because you have a bunch of other chuckleheads just kind of playing like idiots.
Mm-hmm.
They're just basically swinging the helicopter around in circles, not doing anything. Source played with a lot of chuckleheads in Battlefield Bad Company too. But that's what makes it so disappointing. 2042 is supposed to bring back a lot of maps from the classic Battlefield games.
Hence
like
the portal. Hence the portal mode. Yeah, which a lot of people are going in there. Which people are using for farming lately.
Yeah, I can only hope that the portal mode they'll maybe boost up some of the destruction, because it's a bad look if you have Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 4 maps and don't have the destruction that those maps had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I still lean on the fact that they could have done this. They could have pulled this off.
No, I'll put it like this. Like, you're not wrong, especially on a next-gen console where it's supposed to be capable of doing that. Now, I can't speak for Battlefield for the PS4 standard. I don't know. That might destroy your console.
Well, they limited that to 64 max.
Yeah, but I'm talking about let me put it like this. I would understand, but still disagree if the destruction system didn't work on the last gen consoles. But on the PS5, like destruction should have been there. It should have been there off the
Yeah,
map.
it should have been there. Should have
And
been.
how do you have the weather system that doesn't do damage? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh, you mean people in their planes or whatever, and tornadoes spinning around and shooting at each other?
Tornadoes just does everything. It doesn't pick and choose what it wants. It just goes. So if you're going to put a tornado in there, make it wreck house in buildings. How awesome would it be? You're sitting there in a building shooting out something, and a tornado comes towards you, and you know that it's going to tear up this building. If you're not, it's bad when you say, "I'll stay in the building because I know the tornado ain't going to kill me." That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. I mean, hell, they did a dust storm in Battlefield 1 and I think Battlefield 4, and they did. I don't think they did any weather effects in Battlefield 5.
They did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did.
Snow.
Like heavy like thunderstorms and rushes like that, but not.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's like, you know, one maybe 2 steps forward and a step and a half back.
Mm-hmm.
So they just concentrated on getting that 128 players, and the rest will fall into place. But their only hope, I mean, I don't know, their only hope is to patch this to where there is more destruction and the weather effects make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and make sure like the
weapons.
Yeah, I think also a lot of people are just mad are very upset because it just feels like the package deal is not worth what they're paying for, right? Not enough weapons. There's no scoreboard per se. They said they're all just overall for that game. There's not a lot that the money feels like it's worth it. The modes, all the modes
Just
are not really worth it. Yeah,
it's not.
You know,
I'm sorry, but $60. I'll put it this way: inflation's happening. Don't know how long it's going to be. $60 needs to carry you a longer way, and I can't justify $60, $70 for something that plays like it should have been a $40 game.
Mm-hmm. So if you decide to get this game, do your research. That way you cannot be upset when you jump into this game because you have been warned and you have seen enough of reviewers or whoever your favorite person you like to watch play these kind of games, give you their input into it. Because I always say, know your publishers. This is an EA game. So regardless what you feel, you know that EA's games don't really launch very well when they first begin. And And also, too, just how much love they care about the game. Now, I'm not saying Battlefield is probably my favorite multiplayer shooter game, but because it's EA, I can't do day one EA games, regardless if it's my favorite game anymore. I have to see what they're doing. Like I was like the Battlefield 5, you know, and so because I wanted to wait to see what's going to happen because they do a good job of trying to give you so much microtransactions of everything that it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, but the thing is, they know that for every player like you and me who kind of turns our nose up to microtransactions and DLC, there's a whole bunch of other people
of course
who don't know or don't care. Case in point, Star Wars Battlefront 2. You know, until they caught a lot of hell. But this year and last year got seen such a pushback against all that DLC and that pay to win that we're not going to see as much. But EA is going to try and do what EA is going to do. Mm-hmm. And
talk is cheap with a capital E, capital A in there. So
yeah, their multiplayer games are not games that I would get at launch, which sucks because I used to play a lot of Battlefield games at launch with my peeps. We would play, laugh. It's like, oh, that's bullshit. I use this grenade launcher. How's that? When it wouldn't register, you blew somebody up or whatever like that. We would fight through the growing pains together.
Yeah.
But we're older. We're a little bit more cheap.
Just in a nutshell, if you don't like the game, the only reason you should not like the game is because you suck at it. It shouldn't be anything else. Like, the gun sucks. Like, the gun's not aiming right. It should not be the excuses. Like, the positive answer is like, I just suck at this game. I just can't play this game right. Kind of like Dark Souls. Like, Dark Souls to me is not a bad game. You just probably suck at it.
I mean, I would never call Dark Souls a bad game. It's just that I don't have fun playing it.
Yeah.
And I could definitely get good at it because I got decent at Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have fun doing it. If I'm not having fun, why the fuck am I playing this game?
Yeah. So if I decide to get 2042, I'm going to wait to get it after I hear about the first DLC that comes out, because I want to see what their roadmap or whatever, how they want to do their seasons. Well, we don't know anything yet what's coming from them. The game is out, but we're not hearing anything of like what's coming next. So I want to wait to hear about that.
I'm not gonna lie. I probably might not get it at all. I may go ahead and pull down this Halo Infinite multiplayer on PC.
Now they could do, one of those free games. Because Battlefield 5, I think it was free at one point, or Battlefield 1. One of those two were free one time.
Battlefield 1.
Well, so maybe 42. Yeah. If it doesn't do well, you could probably see it for free for a while. But we shall see.
At the very least, we're gonna see it probably come down like 50%.
Yeah, but I'll tell you,
Battlefield 5, not even 6 months. Battlefield 5, I was able to get it for like $15.
I will say this though, the way 42 is looking, I don't want a Bad Company 3 yet. Not until they do it right. Because Bad Company 3 is that is like the win it or I'm out kind of game. Like if they messed up, if it ever happens, it'll probably never happen. But if it does and it's terrible, I would probably leave Battlefield games because it's like because that's how much I love Bad Company 2. That you are carrying a game I love back to the map. So, anyways, let's get into the main topics, and that is celebrating the 20th anniversary. That is Microsoft Xbox Premiere. And I believe this is the fourth console that is the Gamecube. Home console that is the Gamecube. Yeah, Nintendo, SNES, N64. Yeah, Gamecube. Yeah, it's the fourth. Am I forgetting it?
Main console.
Yeah, main console.
I'm not counting the Virtual Boy.
No, it didn't last long enough to make a value. I mean, the Wii U lasts longer than that, right? So, anyways, let's talk about Microsoft first. Actually, no. Let's talk about Microsoft first. We'll go ahead and do that first.
Okay.
So Microsoft 20th anniversary has been everywhere. You've probably seen it on IGN, everything. I want to do something different. We're going to talk about just our experience with this Xbox, the original console, and then moving up from there and where have they been since that original console. Because remember, this is their first premiere. This is their first time in the hat. And they are the ones that are taking the Sega spot that Sega had to let go for many years. People say it's a spiritual successor to the Sega, like Dreamcast or whatnot, because all the Sega games went to the Xbox, right?
Definitely for the first few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my buddy Brando from Game Addict Podcast that we do a show together called the World Gaming Trade Show. Please check that out. We did an episode for two games that recently came out. That is Shatterhands, which I gave as quite a doozy. But on top of that, almost lost my train of thought here. Crap, what was I saying? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Sega.
Oh, Sega. Yeah.
Sega.
No, I was talking about how there's never no more than 3 consoles that stay alive. Every time there's another one that comes in, it just shivers. Like, I couldn't think of a long cycle of 4 consoles together, right? Like, I
kind of count. Well,
long. And I'm talking about more than like I'm talking about longevity. Like. Say what?
What's the parameter for a success?
Enough for a successor. Enough for a successor. Like no other consoles that dip your hand in the hat. 3DO never got a successor. Jaguar never got a successor.
Yeah.
Stadia will never get a successor. My goal is to talk about one time about Stadia.
For a while, we did have Jaguar, 3DO, Saturn, PlayStation, and N64.
We did, with only 2 that made it through. Now remember, it was really 2 consoles. for a while with someone always trying to fill in that spot until PlayStation came.
Well, yeah, PlayStation came out in 95, N64 in 96, Saturn in 95.
Yeah, but for a while it was just Nintendo and Sega, really the top tiers, right? With 3DO, because 3DO was way before PlayStation. I believe so.
Let me fact check that.
I believe they were about like a year ahead of them, I believe. I could be 100% wrong, but I believe that, especially Neo Geo was definitely, but where are you going to find Neo Geo, right?
Oh, 3DO was 1993 in North America.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time. It's just you couldn't find one or want to pay $700 for it, so that's why.
And it had shit games.
Yeah, so it was still ahead of its time with the idea. It's just they didn't have no one wanted to mess with them. So until PlayStation came and they took the third chair permanently, right? But now Sega had to leave the chair, and now Microsoft came. So my experience with Xbox is, 1, I never had an Xbox. 2, I was biased against Xbox, hands down. Because 1, Dreamcast disappeared. That pissed me off at the time. Because I love the Dreamcast. It's like one of my in my top 5 favorite consoles of all time. I love that thing to the death of it. But then when Microsoft comes, and this is at the same time, like, I didn't have a PC, so I didn't know a lot about computers. That's not the excuse of why I didn't like Microsoft. I didn't like Microsoft because the fact that, 1, every new console that always came in just failed. So I thought, like, here comes Microsoft. Here's another guy that's going to try to come in and do something, and it's going to fail like everything else because there's nobody supporting this thing. Plus, the console looked ugly to me. Just a flat box with an X on it. It just looked ugly to me. And it was American, which was a minus for me because I was like, I don't believe in American products when it comes to consoles. I just didn't believe it. I was like, Japanese
Americans can't make consoles.
That's fact. That is a fact in my mind, except for computers, right? But it was always been Japanese every single time. Like, Japanese was the safe way to go. It was a safe bet, right? That's how Sony to me stayed in because it was Japanese and it was the source, right? So with that in mind, here's this game, and the game they would just put in your face about was Halo. And I was a hater for Halo. I was like, this game looks dumb. And this is me coming off the GoldenEye bus in Perfect Dark. So, like, here's my mindset of, like, I can do better than those two at the time. Like, GoldenEye was prime rib. Now it's really like, sirloin now as we speak. So,
I mean, GoldenEye was... Well, you got to take off the rose-colored glasses. GoldenEye, at the time, it was one of the best you were going to get.
That's what I'm saying. We're going off of that, right? Right? But
it's hard as hell to look at now, but yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about at the time, it was up there. Like, no one could touch GoldenEye. No one could touch it. And Perfect Dark was right under it. Right? Yeah. So it was tough, and you're coming off the N64 and all this stuff. Even Dreamcast didn't care to do first-person shooters. Even when PlayStation 1, there were some couple of first shooters, but they weren't enough to make a name for themselves in my mind. Now, people can come in and argue about that if they want to with Call of Duty and all that stuff, but Call of Duty was not as big as GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So if you get
Rainbow Six as well,
that was more of the PCs to me. That was definitely more than the PCs. I mean,
it did come out on the PlayStation. The controls sucked ass.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. Actually, that's funny because Rainbow Six did come out on the Dreamcast. I remember because it was all white one. I did play that one. That was tough. That was really tough. All you got was just a cursor. You don't even see a gun. You just see a cursor. It's like, good luck. Hope you know what gun you picked. Yeah. Anyways,
considering you didn't have dual analog, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when Xbox came, Halo was the thing, and everybody was on this bus. Everybody, and I was a hater. I will admit this today now. I was a hater because everybody was going with Xbox in this one game. Like, you're letting this one game be the reason to get an Xbox. And I'm a hypocrite for that. I'm a hypocrite because I've done that before with other things. Like, yeah, I get this as the new Mario. Yeah, I get this as the new Zelda. I was a hypocrite for that. But when I saw this game and then you connect LAN parties and it was a first person, I'm like, this is stupid.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, this is stupid. Like, why would you set that up like that? Like, 4-player, offline was better. Why the hell are you going to do all this LAN stuff? And it seems too much work. Boy, I was a fool for that.
Yeah, 4v4 in the college dorms.
Yeah, I was a fool for that. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And the reason why I didn't get it is because no one else could tell me any other good games on the Xbox. And I would argue that all the time. Like, what else does that console have? Halo. What else? Because what if I'm not a Halo person? What else do you got? You know? Brute Force wasn't out quite yet, but you had like you had a couple RPG games like Nightcaster and a Zerk or whatever. You had these little games that didn't do a lot. They weren't enough to highlight. I mean, yeah, that's
what were the launch games? Oh, Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah. I was trying to think there was another game too I can think of, but either way, I think there was a couple football games. There was a football game, like they had their own football franchise and stuff on there at the time.
Let's see. Oh, here's a list. 4x4 Evo 2, so 4x4.
Mm-hmm. That was the off-roading game.
Yeah. Air Force Delta Storm, Arctic Thunder, Cell Damage, Dark Summit, which was snowboarding, Dead or Alive 3, Fusion Frenzy.
Fusion Frenzy was a big thing for people.
Halo, Mad Dash Racing, Madden NFL 2002, NASCAR Heat 2002, NASCAR Thunder 2002. Yeah, 2 NASCAR games. Okay.
NASCAR was big.
NHL Hits 2002, Oddworld Munch's Odyssey.
Okay.
I already said Project Gotham Racing. Shrek, Test Drive Off-Road, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and Trans World Surf. So
you had a lot of games that were already on the PS2. That most of them were on PS2 also. That was another thing too. Was like, so you take away all the games that were ported over there. What else you got? Right? There wasn't a lot. And I was thinking more of me. Like, I wasn't a big first person shooter. Like, what else is there for me?
I mean, you still had Oddworld, you still had Project
I wasn't in Oddworld, but Oddworld Odyssey was also on the PS2, I believe, right? No?
Munch's Odyssey? No.
Was it a definitive edition to the other one, or was that a direct sequel to it? You know what? We don't have time for that. I'll you got it. Okay, I'll let you have it.
You just don't want it to have it.
No. I just thought, you know how Oddworld games are. They have
3 got it.
No, I'm just saying no, because I thought they got the Stranger one, but I thought that was the only exclusive one. The Stranger's Wrath, because that was exclusive for a while.
No, Oddworld at launch, I'm looking at the box cover. Oddworld Munch's Odyssey only for Xbox. That little box.
No, you're right. I was saying Stranger's Wrath was also the same way, and I was thinking of that, and I thought that was the only exclusive of the Oddworlds that they had, but they had both. So yeah. Anyways,
crazy.
But regardless, though, at the time there wasn't anything on there, and I was a hardcore Nintendo and PS2 because, like, think about it, for me was PlayStation had to prove something to me to get over there. And when they took everything from a Nintendo, it was like, I have no choice but to go over there, right? Like, you took
everything.
I'm serious. Like, you took EA over there, you took Square Enix over there, they took everything. Like, Nintendo was like Sega on their last leg. Like, everything's in-house. We're going down with the ship, but we're going out banging. And that was with Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 was that, like, we're putting out everything on our own. If no one supports us, forget about them. We can do this on our own. Because if you think about 64 was a rare system. It was mostly rare games. The highlights, at least.
Yeah.
So, Rare was a damn good pick at that time. Rare picked up a lot of slack. They deserve a lot of respect for what they did for that console.
And then Microsoft's like, we'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. When it came to the 360 era. But anyways, now, did I ever get an Xbox at all at the time? No, I never got an Xbox. Because still to this day, that Xbox console didn't really have anything that I wanted during that. But they had a lot of games that I did want to play, and it was due to Sega. Because Sega threw a lot of experimental games over there that I really wanted to play. One, they took my Jet Set Radio over there. So it's like, I got to get my hands on it somehow. They had the Outruns. They had Crazy Taxi. They had... What'd you say, what?
No, I said yeah.
Oh yeah. They had one another game from the people that did Jet Set Radio. I think it's called like Gun Valkyrie something
Valkyrie,
like yeah. They had that one. They had the Otage games that look awesome. The Otage 1 and 2. Like Sega was it was like a spiritual successor to the Sega Dreamcast, and so I was like, that's awesome. But just like Microsoft, like Sega, they had to just push games out. They had to just push out products, even if they were not well. They needed to get something to get the name on because they had to get the numbers up. They had to get the counts up. They were behind, especially PlayStation was a year ahead. And then you have the GameCube around the corner. Microsoft had a short window to get people going, and Halo was the savior of it all. And I still say to this day, if Halo did not work out, that console would be gone. It'd be gone to this day. We would not hear. We would not hear it.
Sounds like you're still kind of hating on it.
No, but think about it. No, I'm just saying, like, Halo was the champion of that game. If Halo never exists, Microsoft, what would they have to really replace that epicness? Nothing. There's nothing on that list. You think Fuse and Frenzy would carry them? Hell no, wouldn't carry them. Okay? First-person shooters was the big thing at the time. They knew GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and any other first-person shooter games on the PS2 were that was the one that were going to carry a lot of people. So they needed to come out with something. So that's when Halo was the champion all to me. And Halo not only championed that, it went above GoldenEye later on in the long run with the new way you should play shooter games. Bump you being a one-man army with thousands of guns. You're rocking only two, and you can alternate both of them, followed by, hey, I can knock you out in the back of your head with one hit.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Sticks. And the dual analog sticks. That was
Yeah. Well, PlayStation 2 had it too, but it was down below.
Yeah, well, PlayStation 2 had the dual analog sticks.
Yeah, but down below. Yeah. So they're not
it came in handy for time splitters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox people would argue the Xbox controller was the console that meant the best for first-person shooter games.
That big ass Duke controller.
Yeah, you know, the mothership people call it too.
It was meant for American hands.
Yeah, I didn't like that console. When they bring out the slim one, that was a little bit better. When they said the control is bigger than like a Burger King burger, you can look at the little pamphlet that Bill Gates was on. When it's bigger than your burger, that's a problem to me. But regardless, though, I now to this day I do appreciate Xbox because I got on the 360 bus because Xbox was pushing the right buttons that PlayStation wasn't doing at the time. And that was mainly not so much the games, but their infrastructure of how they want to make their gamers feel welcome on the console, and that's
the online.
Yeah, Microsoft really changed the game when it came to internal stuff. They really did, and they just pushed the right buttons going further on. If you really think about it, now, granted, Xbox One they hit the wrong button on that one with the Always Connect stuff, but. I'll always be remembered. I get that, but luckily it didn't stay permanent.
Now aren't we? But aren't we always on now?
There's some games you can still play offline.
Well, no, not that. They explained it wrong. But what they were originally talking about bringing in the Xbox One has come to pass. It's just that they explained it horribly.
Well, regardless, though, right? They still did it in a way of making you always feel welcome on their console. Better than Nintendo, better than PlayStation, in my opinion.
Yeah. Xbox Live was, revolutionary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll put it this way. Xbox Live was so revolutionary, PlayStation still couldn't beat it in the PS3 era.
When voice chat was invented, changed the game.
Yep, you got to be called all sorts of names by people.
Mm-hmm. Voice chat, party chat, everything changed the game. You know, really opened the doors of how to purchase stuff better on that console. The getting around that game was easier than PlayStation to me. The store, everything is.
Yeah, it's still better. I hate navigating the PS4 store.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that.
The website.
I can agree with that, but I'm glad that Microsoft managed to take that spot because I don't even know who the hell would be the next contender to take Microsoft's spot if they disappeared, right? But I'm glad that they're still around. I'm glad Halo is successful because now I like Halo a lot now. Like I like that series now because I got it. You know, I was a hater, and I think that all gamers at one point were all haters when a new kid or a new thing comes in the house, like a new baby. You're not the favorite person you're being talked about anymore. Like, oh, no one's talking about PlayStation anymore. It's all about Xbox all of a sudden. Okay, you know. But yeah. But what about you, Jaron? What about your experience? I went on long enough about my experience with the Xbox. What's your experience with it?
Hold on, let me get this pesky kitty. Settle her down. Get out of here, cat. Oh gosh, we were coat. All right. Well, I owned an Xbox, an OG Xbox first, before I owned a Gamecube. But I didn't own it until probably 2000 and oh god.
So you didn't get it at launch?
Oh hell no.
That's what I was meaning. So what was your experience of Xbox when it first came out and all that stuff?
When it first came out, I didn't. It came out in 2001. I was a junior. I didn't even really realize what it was all about. I heard about it, but I didn't realize what it was all about. It wasn't until 2002, when my first year in the dorms, there were a group of guys, some of the kids whose parents could afford that new shit at launch. They had Halo, they had controllers, and there were two different rooms, and they ran Ethernet cable from one console to the other, and they had the TV up. And they were playing 4v4, and I was like, "Ooh, what is this? Let me get in on this." Okay, how do you? Okay, and it was amazing. I was hooked. I was like, "Okay, that's what's up." I didn't hear anything about the GameCube at all. Like I didn't hear any.
Oh no, we'll get to the GameCube in a minute. Just focus on Xbox.
I mean, I'm just saying. In that same time, the launch windows, they were launched a week apart, a week and a half apart. But I was like all about. I was like, this is interesting. This is interesting. Now, I didn't own an Xbox, an OG Xbox, until about I would say 3 years. I was like a junior. I was like, I was like a junior or whatever, and living in a little studio apartment, and I had an Xbox, and I did not even. I had like 2-3 games in Xbox Live, and it was like Splinter Cell. It was a second Splinter Cell, the one that was.
I forgot
Chaos
about
Theory.
Splinter Cell. Yeah, Splinter Cell was a big home for Xbox. It was just because it's all green, Yeah.
Yeah, the Chaos Theory, the one with the spies versus mercenaries, and Halo 2, and that was I rocked it. I rocked that. Occasionally PlayStation 2 because I had a PlayStation 2 before I left home, but I rocked the Xbox almost exclusively for a while.
Okay.
So the only thing was the platform, the online platform, I couldn't afford to just get the newest game. So I didn't really get to play with a lot of people when the new stuff came out. So I was still mostly playing single player games, but got me on that KOTOR though.
I'm telling you, man, like
nice
Xbox later on, they started getting some surprise exclusive on there that I didn't think they were going to be big hits, but they were a big talked about later, especially with the Elder Scroll games, right? Elder Scroll 3 was all over the place.
Yeah, everybody was talking about Elder Scroll 3 Morrowind. Never touched it, but everybody was talking about it hardcore.
Yeah, like there was a lot of name brands that just connected with that console. Like Bethesda and Xbox were just, and look, Faith has put them together forever, right? But just the fact at the beginning, like this was the home of the Elder Scroll games when it came to consoles. This was the home for a lot of the classic Sega games that you grew up. Now, of course, Sega has gone their own path, and now they're just everywhere, and they don't know what they want to do with themselves. That's another story. But yeah. LucasArts and all that kind of stuff. It's what BioWare. BioWare was very to Xbox a lot from that and Jade Empire, Yeah,
KOTOR, Jade Empire. It was I didn't get to play it until much later. But Steel Battalion, the mech game.
Yeah, they were. You know, now that I think about it, you have a point. I think Xbox really was was an interesting home for a lot of people. That's like, hey, you want to try an idea? Put it on our console. We'll give it a try. Like, I don't know if PlayStation and Nintendo would take the idea of Steel Battalion on their console. I don't know. And I don't know if Microsoft paid a lot of money like, we want that on our console. That looks amazing. I don't know. But Xbox really open to ideas of like, we'll take anything right now because we need some connection in Japan. If you ever watch or listen to our episode of Xbox for Japan, like, we need something to get them to come to us. We'll take that Steel Battalion.
And Sega. Yeah. Sega was supposed to be their in.
Mm-hmm. But just like Sega and Microsoft, they never got the big bangers, the most important bangers from Japan on that console. Like, Square Enix was nowhere near that thing, right?
Well, Xbox didn't have a lot of RPGs.
Still, no Square Enix games ever really touched that console. No. I can't think of. Namco,
Period.
I think Namco maybe had like a couple on there, but not enough to really like acknowledge it. You know? I mean, Tecmo took a chance on there with 3, like you said on the launch.
Tecmo?
Yeah, Tecmo took a chance with the Dead or Alive.
Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden Black. You're right. I forgot. Tecmo did take a chance on that.
Ninja Gaiden Black. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That was the only place you could play.
No, that's very true. You're right. You're right. So they were hustling. It's just Japan wasn't having it, but America loved the shit out of it. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that was the place where you want to play the Burnout games, because they had the best looking graphics. I mean, people would argue back and forth, but it was Xbox, GameCube, PlayStation as far as graphics, or the PlayStation 2 as far as graphics.
So let's go into the next 20th anniversary. That is the console that came out, I believe, a week after the Xbox came out, I believe. And that,
yeah, it was actually it was GameCube was, I think, November 3rd, November 5th.
I swear.
November 5th.
Yeah, okay.
It was November 5th,
so it was before?
2001.
Was it before Xbox?
Yeah, it was November 5th, 2001. Okay. Xbox was November 10th.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the console that came out before that, and that is the 4th installment, that is Nintendo. Now, I'm going to be honest here, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before. I like all the consoles. As I got older, I am multi-platform on all consoles. You know, every console has a thing. But I always been a Nintendo diehard on the inside. So, you know, I've always tried to support Nintendo in the best way I can. So I always get their consoles because they always have the games that I love and I grew up. I mean, that's anybody, right? If you are a Microsoft fan and an Xbox come out, yeah, you're going to get because all the games you loved on there. It might be crossing over from your Fables and all that kind of crap. Oh, that's another one. Fable was a big thing on the original Xbox, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about Fable. Yeah, Fable. So anyways,
yeah, the more you think about it, the more you realize, like, wait, yeah, they had that.
Yeah. So they had a lot of they were doing a lot of stuff at the wall to get something over there.
They had Dino Crisis 3.
Yeah. But you could tell GameCube was really trying to be unique and be powerful at the same time, right? Especially, they were trying to match that with the PlayStation. Now, they knew they had the name brands, right? But they were like, how can we get more people to that console? Because Nintendo was starting to get that brand of the kiddiness at the time.
Yeah.
They were starting to get the kiddiness of like...
They finally dropped the cartridge.
Yes. And they went to disc. But small discs. Very small discs. And that was unique, but it was weird at the same time. I never understand, like, why.
Piracy.
What? Piracy?
Piracy.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Piracy. So it's kind of smart, but I guess so. Anyways... And then the whole model, like, I think someone said that America was not feeling the color purple for that console. I personally didn't care. I just wanted this in my hand. I was more concerned about the handle. Like, I don't know if I ever carry my console with the handle. To this day, I can't think if I ever just grab that thing and just carry it over. I can't think of it. But
it's useful. It's useful if you're having to move. I had to move apartments a bit, and it was very useful. Just pick it up. You know, or take it over to a friend's, pick it up and move it.
Yeah, but it was a simple little box of consoles. That game, they had a lot of good stuff on there. I mean,
Battalion Wars.
Yeah, that was Wii.
That was GameCube. Came out on GameCube first.
I challenged. I looked that up.
I'm looking at it right now.
It is GameCube?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
GameCube, 2005.
But that's not one of their biggest highlights anyways. Let's get to the big highlights. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. You know it's not. Okay? No, that's not the first thing people say when they think of GameCube. But we're talking about like,
but it did come out on GameCube.
You're right on that. I'm just saying. I was like, you make it sound like that was a big banger for some reason. Anyways, but you looked at like the new Mario, the new
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion and stuff like that. But they also, they took a lot of different ideas and tried really hard to get the exclusives in their own way. I mean, this is where Rare was in the mid of being bought out as they were making mid games, right? I mean, Star Fox they only touched, I think. I can't think of another Rare game that they did other than Star Fox in my head that was Rare. I can't think of any other, but that was the last one. Because there was supposed to be a Bad Conquer 2 on there, but because they got bought by Xbox, it ain't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, we're not probably getting Conquer back in general, and probably ever.
Mm-hmm. But I like the GameCube a lot, actually, because like they did a lot of really neat ideas of doing new ideas with the franchise. I mean, if you really think about it, there was a lot of weird ideas coming out of the GameCube. I mean, you had Mario Sunshine. That was a weird game that you could play on All-Star Collection. They were giving these characters a new experiment. Wind Waker was a weird game, but it's one of my favorite Zelda games. Yeah.
But in hindsight, now people say it's one of the best Zelda games ever made.
Yeah, followed by the swan song of Twilight Princess that people, everybody got their cake and eat it too when it came to Zelda on the GameCube. Like, you might not you like Wind Waker, but maybe you wanted it more darker. We got you on that too. So that was cool in their both ways. Go ahead.
Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness, the first experimental kind of horror game that they actually wanted to publish, right? That was an interesting one. Metal Gear Solid Remake. Was on there.
Twin Snakes.
That was
our first console Fire Emblem game. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance.
The Capcom Project 5. The project that just no one. I said this on our Beautiful Joe episode on the World Gaming Trade Show. Is that I can't think of another deal like that was exclusive like that. 5 games on one thing. Like, we're making 5 exclusive games on there. If you want to hear that whole story, you can. But your 5 exclusive games on there was like PN03. You were talking about Beautiful Joe. The Killer 7. The Dead Phoenix game that got canceled. That's supposed to be kind of like a Kid Icarus style per se. And then you had the Okami. No. No, the biggest last one is Resident Evil 4. That was the big one that changed the game.
That got me. That pulled me into Resident Evil.
Yeah, that was the one that changed the game because no one thought that's on Nintendo first of all because PlayStation was the home for Resident Evil games. But Resident Evil 4 came out, it just blew everybody's mind. That game was awesome. The GameCube controller made sense for that game.
Not only that, but they did the Resident Evil remake.
They did all the remakes on it, including Zero. Zero.
Yeah, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 4.
Capcom was so nice to Nintendo. If you really think about it, Capcom did a lot of stuff for that console. Yeah. Really a nice stuff. More than PlayStation 2 at the time.
Yeah, actually, I just ran into the block of Resident Evil games. So we had Resident Evil, the Resident Evil remake, the graphics, it was amazing. It looked amazing. Mm-hmm. And then we had Resident Evil 2 and 3 basically just ported.
They're just ported, which was misleading for a lot of people because, why would you port that one on there? People, I was one of those people they remade those two? No.
Yeah, no, we'd have to wait, another damn near 20 years.
Yeah.
But then you got Resident Evil 4 in 2005. Resident Evil Code Veronica,
which it was a port.
2004.
It was a port.
And Resident Evil 0 came out 1 year after Resident Evil, the Resident Evil remake. So you have Resident Evil the remake, Resident Evil 0, a bunch of ports, then Resident Evil 4, and that was just year after year after year after year, just hitting you.
Yeah. And then of course more Capcom stuff came in there, like the Dino Crisis got ported over there. That's when the Mega Man Battle Network was a big thing with the cartoon and everything like that. You had that on that console.
You had the Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure.
First time Sega was producing stuff on that console. We had the Sonic Adventures games and the collection. You know, that was weird. And Sega threw out some experimental stuff like Billy Hatcher, you know, and the Giant Egg. You know, kind of weird games.
I remember seeing that. Soul Calibur 2, when Namco was working with all three platforms. All three
and that's when Link got on there. It was a very experimental, like Mario Kart, Double Dash, one of my favorite Mario Kart entries. That was experimental. That was a crazy idea.
I have never seen that again.
No. And I thought it was a really cool idea. I think we should bring that back with the online. That'd be amazing to see what they did that. Now, you could do a LAN and have like 8 people, but I think the LAN kind of fell off after the Xbox kind of went on. So, like, it was kind of like...
There just weren't enough people who were going to, you know, gather up GameCubes.
Yeah. Metroid, for the first time, changed the way for first person, which Metroid Prime I gave a 10. But everything was a game changer. Everything was trying everything new for these characters. So, like, what can we do to change the new direction of these characters?
Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. What was originally on the Dreamcast, they packaged together, brought it offline, and pushed it.
Smash Brothers, bringing characters outside Nintendo on that thing, right? I think. Wait, not yet. No, it wasn't yet.
We didn't get that until
Brawl. I thought they brought
Melee is still considered the definitive competitive Smash Brothers, but yeah, Brawl's what introduced Sonic and
Snake and all that. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong on that. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we had Pikmin 1 and 2. You know, and of course a lot of the GameCube versions of multi-platform games like Red Faction 2, Time Splitters. Man, these hiccups are killing me. You know, things. It was GameCube had a lot of really good games. It came out 1 year after the PlayStation 2, which had built-in DVD capability, which is why it sold so damn much. And it came out just 5 days before the Xbox.
Yeah.
So it was in a rock.
But the funny part is that it's just so funny because, like, I believe that Nintendo had a better launch than Xbox, hands down. It's just people were just not up. They were just not drive to it. You know, it was more late in the game of the cycle of that console where it started growing, but it almost came a little bit too late. They made it enough where, like, we can make another console.
Yeah, I mean, well, the way Nintendo operates, the GameCube wasn't necessarily a failure, but it wasn't it's considered a failure, but it wasn't a success that it was expected, but it's still considered. I don't know, maybe that's why we don't have a lot of ports from the GameCube to now, because Nintendo still considers it a failure.
You could be 100% right. I also forgot Star Fox went to a different direction too when they finally got him to walk around on a dinosaur planet, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Dinosaur Planet and Star Fox Assault got to do it there too.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, I was so into the GameCube, I got the Game Boy Advance attachment, so I could play the Game Boy Advance games on my TV, like Super Game Boy, like on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, the Game Boy. Crap, I can't even remember what it's called, but yeah.
Basically a Game Boy dock, basically.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
I mean, the GameCube is where we got WarioWare. WarioWare came in. You know, Wario World, WarioWare. You had 13, you know, but that was Ubisoft. Ubisoft's putting that.
Yeah, that was on everything anyways. That was on everything. So
yeah, WWE, GameCube got some exclusive WWE games. Day of Reckoning 1 and 2, WrestleMania 19, X8. It got 4 exclusive WWE games.
Yeah, and I would argue that I think this was the last year EA really showed support for that console. I mean, they did the bare minimum of your sports games on there, but EA really was strictly sticking with Microsoft and Xbox. I mean, yeah, Microsoft and PlayStation ever since then, because, you know, no love for the Wii, no love for the Wii U, and further on. So this was kind of like the last thing EA really put support in and whatnot.
Yeah.
But okay.
It's unfortunate. It was unfortunate. I mean, and here's the kicker. Here's what'll really throw you. You know, in Japan, damn these hiccups. In Japan, they did release a version of the GameCube that could play DVDs.
Yes, it was all silver and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It was partnered with Panasonic and everything. It was way too expensive, but I think if they had done it, I don't know, maybe things would have been different if they had released it over here. But Nintendo said, we don't have to do that.
The one game that ruled my world on that GameCube, it was a blessing in disguise. This is how much like Sega was really dedicated to it, because no one else got it on their console. It's funny because you mentioned Phantasy Star, because Phantasy Star was on Xbox. The problem is it was only online only, so you couldn't play that game unless you had online connection. So the game is useless.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's the only place you get the definitive edition of my favorite RPG game of all time, Skies of Arcadia, and that was the icing on the cake for me. I'm like, I love this freaking console that it got my favorite RPG game on there. That was amazing at the time, and and they added stuff to it. That was so beautiful, so nice of them to do that.
Dreamcast was. I'll put it this way, and we've talked about it before. Dreamcast had so many games that if Dreamcast hadn't failed, we'd still be they would be the thing today. The only reason we even talk about a lot of those games is because they were re-released on the Xbox and the GameCube.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or ported, whatever.
Yeah. They had to do something, so they had to spread it out in some shape or form, and maybe one day we'll have to do an episode of like favoritisms that Sega goes for, like what consoles at the time did they favor more for these characters and these characters and whatnot. I can do a whole show about Sega because Sega just has such an interesting journey from the beginning to the end of where the choices they make and all that kind of stuff. They're an interesting company.
They went toe to toe with Nintendo and were doing a great job up until about 94.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
94, 95, and then I mean, we've covered it in previous shows. I blame Bernie Stolar and Sega and some of Sega America's higher ups, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But the funny part about all of this, even though it's the 20th anniversary of this console, it was still in the shadow of the PS2, regardless, right?
Yes.
Because PS2 was still knocking it out of the park. They still had the exclusives on there. Like Square. See, the problem with like some consoles to me, it's like you can do a console, but you have a rough time if you don't have certain people at least putting at least one or two on your console. I mean, Square Enix had Crystal Chronicles on there, and I didn't really like that game. I thought the game was garbage.
The re-release didn't do too well either.
Yeah, it was a bad concept to me, regardless. But the funny part is like no matter what, Square they were dedicated to PlayStation. Like, we'll do something. They were like, it's almost like the back in the day when we were talking about in the last episode of like the exclusive of Nintendo. It's like, we can do a Turtles game for you, but it can't be like theirs. So like, it's almost like that way where we can't give you a main entry, but we will make a new Final Fantasy in some shape or form for you. You know, just like Xbox, we can give you Final Fantasy 11, but we're not going to give you an entry. You're not anytime soon. You're not getting 7. You're not getting 8. You're not getting 9. You're not getting 10. You're definitely not getting 12. You know, it's like, but we'll make a special one for you. So
if only. Makes you wonder, what if Xbox and Nintendo had said, hey, how about you hook us up with a compilation of your first 6 Final Fantasy games?
Well, they do now, right?
They do now.
But back in the day, remasters.
And PlayStation even got 4, 5, and 6 put on theirs, and Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, got 1, 2, 4. It was kind of all spread out.
That can be a challenge question today before we wrap this up. What would happen like that? The only argument I would say to that is PlayStation was selling so too well that it felt like it doubled more than Xbox and GameCube, that Square Enix would think that's like, why? Like, PlayStation is selling double what they're doing, so why do we need to make one over there? We're making too much money over here, so what's the point? I think developers, if they can make enough money to do it on one console, they would. Not multi-platform, in my opinion.
It's easier to not have to program, port it over.
Yeah.
Plus, PlayStation 2 was the easiest to program for.
Yeah, and they were connected. Like Bethesda to Xbox is Square to PlayStation at the time. Like everything Square was exclusive over there. Even though before that it was Nintendo, but only because Nintendo is us or Sega. What are you really going to do?
It was the only game in town that was...
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to go to Sega? Really? No, Square
like,
is...
Hey, remember us? We gave you your chance in Final Fantasy. And that 3D BS, 3D Adventure Runner BS that didn't work out. Nintendo was lording their relationship, but that's probably also why one of the reasons Nintendo's hubris lost them partners.
But I would argue that that year was the most interesting, one of the most. I would put that in the top 3 most interesting years for console war, because
2001.
Yeah, because you had 2 consoles that came out the same year. They were both different in their own way. And they were both really fighting to take that PlayStation spot. And there were just so many different ideas that came exclusive for certain ones that you question it. Like, why was 4 on? Why did Capcom decide to take the chance to release a new Resident Evil on the Gamecube, and not the one that's making the most money? Why did Sega just want to throw everything at Xbox? Why? There's a lot. It's an interesting conversation. That year was very interesting. A lot of connectivity from the LAN party to the Game Boy Advance to the GameCube, to Xbox, just taking any idea to get Xbox to be recognized any way. We'll take anything. Just let's get recognized. To the GameCube, like, how can we reinvent all these characters in a new way? While PlayStation is more of like, how can we continue to surpass these people? It's so much going on, and it's
the thing. But PlayStation 2, you have to remember, PlayStation 2 had the head start that they had on GameCube and Xbox by 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you already had you like From Software. All the games From Software did, were developed or published. I mean, you had several From Software games already out. You had Dead or Alive 2 on the PlayStation 2.
Final Fantasy X was a big one already that came out.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X came out. I think that was Grand Theft Auto 3 came out a month before. Yeah, like just weeks before the launch of GameCube and Xbox. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3, like the game changer.
Yes, it had. No, I give you that as a head start, but it was more interesting to see how PlayStation would go against those two, right? But like you said before, the DVD was still the big banger to this day, because Xbox didn't have a DVD player still, I don't think.
No, Xbox did, but you had to buy several accessories.
Okay.
PlayStation 2, PlayStation 2 had a built-in DVD player that you could use right out of the box.
Yeah.
2, it was cheaper than most DVD players at the time.
Yeah, and then GameCube, GameCube, I think, that made the right choice in my head of, look, they're already known for DVDs. What will we do different for doing that? I think that they saved money by not doing a DVD player, in my opinion.
I mean, they would have to check. They came out. Their system came in cheaper. It came in like
and especially they want to avoid the piracy of doing little discs. You couldn't. No, it just wouldn't work for them.
Exactly. So it was PlayStation 2. Okay, I don't know. I'm just going to stop talking for a bit because I am hiccuping.
I normally my tactic is to hold my breath as long as I can until I can't breathe, and then my hiccups are gone. That's how I do it. Anyways, so for me though, for Xbox and GameCube, I am glad that it happened 20 years ago. Of when we see these people really going at it, and it was really interesting at the time. Like I said, I think it's in the top 3 best years of consoles going at it. I think it was amazing for what they did and whatnot. Seeing successor for the Sega continue on in that way, and we're never going to see that again because these consoles are still these brands are still going, and they're kind of just doing their own thing. The battles between each other is not really there anymore. It's more up to the fans now. The fans make it the war now, not more of the consoles, because Xbox wants to be. We want to get along with everybody. PlayStation wants to be, we just want to be exclusive. Nintendo's more like
the marketing. You see it in the marketing. Back in the 90s, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Jaguar 64 is bigger than 32. You know, you had all that marketing that was stoking the console wars. You don't see that in their marketing anymore.
But now each one of them do something unique, and we're going to have to get ready to wrap this up. But the thing right now, as we've seen the uniqueness of everything, is one, Microsoft is unique with the Game Pass, which is doing extremely well. That's their uniqueness that stands out. The Nintendo Switch is doing something unique of, you know, closing the gap between home and the go. Now you can take that anywhere you want, you know. And the PlayStation is staying more of the exclusive of the power and their uniqueness of their exclusive games, you know. Now, granted, that now with PlayStation, of course, that has changed. So we don't know what all uniqueness is going to happen now, since they're kind of reconstruction their whole method of how they want to do games. You know, the blockbuster hits talk and everything like that. So, but it will be interesting later down the line is who would be the next contender that will try to get in this pool that will make it to the next successor. We don't know. Maybe it'll never happen. I don't know. Who is brave enough?
Television Amico. I'm joking.
Right? Now, people saying Steam Boy could do something, but Steam Boy has always been Steam is Steam. I don't put them in the category. It was a PC first, and me being a handheld, it's just
a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I feel like it's still a PC thing. It's not in the console war to me. It's just its own thing. So I don't put it in that. But sooner or later, we will have this conversation of whether it's the future of consoles. You know, will consoles still be around in a different way, or they're going to be shaping the PCs only, and there'll be just Sony computer brands everywhere, or Nintendo computer brands, or, you know, we don't know. We really don't know. But it's going to be interesting where it goes from here. So,
the possibilities from a technology and logistics standpoint will always be fascinating to me.
But it made me love to be a gamer that year. I loved being a gamer at that time when those three consoles came, when the Xbox first came and the Gamecube was coming. It was great to be a console gamer. It was awesome. Yeah. It was so many ideas.
It was a perfect storm. We had more than enough disposable time too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We were both. Well, you were a junior. I was a sophomore. So, yeah. With that, we do got to wrap it up. It was a long episode, but it was worth it for the celebration. As you know, this is part of the In-Game Boss program, network game, and other variety shows. So please check out our other great content. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, give it a like. We would love to have your support. But we'll never know because YouTube is taking away the thumb down and thumb up, the dislikes and likes. The dislikes. Yeah. So we will let you know if you don't like us anymore. you don't have to worry about it anymore.
We get to still see it. You all can't.
Yeah. So, but please check out all our great content. We would love to have your support on great stuff and whatnot. And of course, you can always find us on Facebook and Twitter by typing the In-Game Boss program on Facebook, and for Twitter at program in. But if you want to find us personally, you can find me as RetroAmp07.
You can find me at the Grumpy Bear 84.
And we will catch you on our next stage. Enjoy your holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Black Friday. Because when we come back on the next episode, it's time to do, I believe, it's our award episode. We got to do our award episode. Talk about over the years. And it's been quite a year that maybe people forgot about that we're going to be shouting out awards for. And we have our boy Curtisism coming on the show and whatnot. And we can't wait to bring you back. So, with that, stage clear. Let's go.
New high score, 20 years worth.